Hey, listeners, if you listened in last week, Ann and I went on and on. We had a nice time with various experiences about the package and queen world in the springtime. Ann's still here with me. It's a good time for you to say hi, Ann.
Hi, Jim. We're going to do part 2.
We'll try to see if we can ramble through more of it again. I had a good time last week. See if we can do it again. But we want to continue talking on that subject. We had to cut it short because we don't really want to turn these things into long segments. We'd rather have short conversations and
leave them wanting more.
About the length of a cup of coffee, would you say, Ann?
20 minutes, sure.
Yeah. Listeners, I'm Jim Tew. I'm here with Anne Frey. We come to you once a week here at Honeybee Obscura, where we just have a conversation about something to do with plain talk beekeeping.
Welcome to Honeybee Obscura, brought to you by Growing Planet Media, the producers of the Beekeeping Today podcast. Join Jim Tew, your guide through the complexities, the beauty, the fun, and the challenges of managing honeybees. Jim hosts fun and interesting guests who take a deep dive into the intricate world of honeybees. Whether you're a seasoned beekeeper or just getting started, get ready for some plain talk that'll delve into all things honeybees.
And there's all kind of stories. We were talking while we were waiting for the segment to start about some of the mistakes that people make. You know, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But can't you get some strange phone calls, Ann, with people trying to tell you what's going on with their bees?
Oh, my goodness. I don't work in the office, and I rarely get the calls unless the office staff can't handle it. But I hear about once every 2 years here, they have gotten a call from a customer who never hived their package. They just kept the bees in the package, and they thought that was the beginning of beekeeping. And then they call up when the bees start to die and fall to the bottom. And we tease the story out, and we find out they never put them in a hive. They never released them. It's just so sad. These people definitely need a class. They need a mentor. They need, not to jump into things so quickly without any learning.
Well, if you don't know, you don't know. It's easy to be critical. I had a story once where we were raising queens at Ohio State. And we had a guy, at the time, we tried to provide replacement queens because we weren't professional at this. So we definitely didn't make any money. But we had one guy, when he finally called back to tell him that the queen died again, I had to say, what are you doing? How are you doing this? On the phone. You got to be a detective.
What's the technique?
And what the guy was doing was releasing the queen and the attendant workers in an empty hive body, thinking that was going to turn into a beehive. And instead, they were just dying.
Oh,
so
like
it was just about six workers and a queen, probably on foundation. At the time, you just send the queen out. We don't want to chat with everybody who's calling in all that much, but strange things happen when people don't know what they're doing. When you're releasing the queen, you've mentioned rubber bands several times, and I didn't quiz you on that because I thought I'd quiz you about it now. What are you talking about with rubber bands in a queen cage?
Not when I'm releasing her, but when I'm moving her from the place she's hanging in the package to a frame. And then I'm going to put the package in the hive. So her queen cage is held onto a frame with, say, 2 rubber bands. One rubber band, I've noticed that the queen cage just kind of slides downwards, and it might even tip and slip out from under the rubber band and just fall. But it's a way of securing the queen cage to a frame, 2 rubber bands, make sure her screen is not facing a comb. It could be facing down, it could be facing up, it could be facing sideways, as long as her screening is not facing the comb or foundation. There's other ways of holding the queen cage up. Sometimes the queen cage comes with a little metal kind of leash on the end of it, or there's other things that are done. Press it into the comb if you have combs. Just press the queen cage in without the screen getting pressed in. What do you think is the best way to attach a queen cage to a frame when you're installing a package of bees, Jim?
I don't know if it's the best way. It's a clumsy way.
Clumsy way.
One of the ways I've always used, that leash you said, it's a little wire tie.
Yeah, a tab.
That comes on the queen, a tab that comes on the cage.
Mm-hmm.
I put a thumbtack on top of a frame where I want it, and then I wrap that around the thumbtack with the screen outward. I want the screen outward. I want the candy plug up.
Okay.
In a perfect world, everything goes all right. But on just a few occasions in my entire bee life, if the candy plug is down and they're eating it out, I've had workers die in the cage and then drop down and block that candy plug where the bees are trying to eat through it.
Yeah, and the queen's not really interested in moving bodies.
That's not her job. So these are all just picayune details. I just use that. Now, there is one thing that only someone like me would do. Somewhere in my life, I saw the plans for a queen introduction frame. It's got a real thick top bar. And then there was a slot cut in that thick top bar where you would lay the cage and put it in there. So I've got 2 of those frames. And the problem is they're somewhere out in my beehives right now. Next time I see them, I'll take them out. I don't know where they are, but you have to build a special frame and cut down the end bars, and only a beekeeper like me would do all that. But it was a good way to release a queen with this easy slot right on top.
I tend to like things that could be used in multiple ways, not really specialized things, but I hope when you find that, you just like nail it to the wall for the next time.
I've only seen 2 in my life, and I built both of them. So I had the plans for it somewhere. But that's just examples. Sometimes they come with metal tabs, but when you do that wire tie thing I was talking about, invariably there's an extra frame you're stuck with. So either you lean it against the colony and you leave it there for 4 days, or you take it back to the barn and hope the mice don't find it. But you've got this one homeless frame because everything is too tight if you put 10 frames back in there with that queen cage in there.
Yeah. The other problem with the queen cage taking up kind of leaves an extra space between the frames where you've put the queen cage. If a person doesn't come back within 3 days or 7 days and see that she's out of her little cage and then remove her little cage, they're going to have some really crazy comb being built in that large gap. So coming back and getting the cage out and putting that saved 10th frame into its proper place, that's a thing. Don't want to forget that.
That is a thing. You are exactly right. I can only, here we go again, assuming. I can only assume that we make the bees cluster around that queen. And even though they've got comb, in many cases, they've got comb. If they cluster around that queen, they'll begin to build new comb in that space.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that might really confuse a first-year beekeeper. This space, there's comb in it, took the queen cage out, don't know what to do now, but, just use your mentor, get a mentor, get 2 mentors. Please, everybody try and help out some beginners. Have you ever had, you just can't get the bees out of the cage and you can't get them to pour out and you're tempted to just cut that screen right off the side of it, Jim?
Well, I have torn the screen apart before, not in rage, but in a way to get stuck feeder cans out. Sometimes that feeder can just would not come out. So I would cut through the screen and push it up from the bottom. But I've never had to cut the screen off just to get bees out. Have you had to do that?
When it's chilly and we just can't seem to bop them through that circular center hole in the package, I've sometimes resorted to just, I'm tired of getting them to aim at that. I'm just going to slice this and dump them out of the side of this rectangular hole now. So it's okay to do that stuff. It's not like there's a law that they have to come out that circular hole where the can was.
No, the main thing is to get them out. And I hadn't thought about the coldness that you would have to deal with. I've had to release bees here several times when it was cold and rainy, and I did that technique I told you about. You mentioned taking frames out and then putting the package in the spot where the frames were out.
Yeah, it's the perfect size. It's the perfect size if you take 5 out. And it just fits in there. It's the perfect length. I feel like they must have built the packages this long. It can't be a coincidence that it fits perfectly inside of a hive body.
Well, it can't be. I hadn't thought about that. I wonder if somebody had that insight to make the packages fit inside a deep hive body.
Maybe Wilbanks would know the answer. Reggie Wilbanks or Patrick.
Yep, I've met Patrick. Of course, I know Reggie well. This is not a promotion, but they've been in the queen and package business a long time. I'm sure they've had some stories, but not here, not now.
Not now, but Wilbanks are great. There are suppliers at Better Bee, I have to say. They're very dependable. I like that they use the wooden cages. Have you ever experienced those plastic package cages?
There's one right here beside me. I try to find something else to do with them. They really want to be something else as a secondary purpose, but I have not found it. Could you pack one of those cages full of soil and raise orchids in it or something with orchids growing out the side of it?
Maybe.
I use it as a space between an amplifier and a turntable I've got to disperse heat. So all it does is just so that the amplifier heat doesn't go right up to the turntable. These things don't sit in the yard and rot, and if you don't have them, I mean, once you've got a plastic package, you've got a plastic package. You can knock them apart.
You can flatten them, but I like the wooden ones. They're much more crushable and put it on the bonfire, or it doesn't seem so horrible to have a pile of little fragile wood things around than a big pile of plastic stuff that'll never be used again.
They are hardy boxes. I really wish I could find something else to do with them. And I do want to say this. They dovetail together very rigidly. So you can pick up 4. You could pick up 20 of them if they dovetail them that far together.
Maybe you could build a wall.
But they are tough to get apart. In mine, I figured out if you can get them down to about 4 packages and run a pipe clamp diagonally across that, you could put pressure on that and make those dovetail connectors release those packages and pop them apart. Otherwise, you bang on them. Well, I got bees in those packages that are getting all jostled around.
Maybe there's a technique we don't know about, and it's just so obvious to the producers that they never mention it. But we're using the wooden packages.
And let's stop at this point and take a break and hear from our sponsor.
Swarm season's here. Are you ready? Get the Colorado Bee Vac made just for Better Bee. The CBV, as beekeepers call it, is the top hive relocation vacuum out there. It's built to gently collect up to 10 pounds of bees with very little loss. Don't miss out. Grab your Colorado Bee Vac today at betterbee.com. That's betterbee.com.
Okay, Ann. So you got the queen stuck on the side of a cage, and
side
you
of a
do
frame.
What? On the side of a frame, on the side of a comb. For 3 days, you said 4 at the most, maybe. I would go 4. Would you agree with the fact that the bees are going to react to the cage the way they're going to react to the queen? If you pull the frame out with the cage on it and the bees are just clinging to it like crazy and you can't brush them back and even one may have a stinger exposed, that's not a good time to release that queen. But if you pull it and you brush them back and the bees move away from the cage and then they run back up and they're fanning and scenting, they probably agreed that she's the one for them.
Yeah. They act to the cage the way they want to act towards the queen inside. I agree. It's a pretty rare thing that there might be a queen loose with the bees in a package, but it could happen. So there's a queen in the cage that the package producer has installed with each package. But there's also a chance that the shaken bees that fell down the big funnel and went into the screen package might have had a queen with them. It's not unheard of for a colony to have 2 queens.
It's rare, but it's not unheard of. But
really rare to be in the package. They have their systems, and it's pretty systematic the way that they package up these bees.
I don't speak bee, but sometimes it's as though that a queen is just not acceptable. The queen isn't from those bees. In fact, the bees are probably not from the same colony in the package. It's a real Heinz 57 blend. So everybody's probably somewhat strange to each other in that package, and they have to get used to each other. But I had a package last year that from the get-go, the queen just was not acceptable. She laid about a frame and a half of brood, and then poof, she's gone.
And did they raise a queen?
I did podcasts on it. I had another queen. I put her in, and I got her established. But the colony was set back. It was sluggish. It just gave me fits the whole year long. and it was the first one to die this past winter. So sometimes packages just seem to be on the wrong square.
Well, maybe those bees knew something about that queen and there was some hatred or they rejected that queen, but I wonder why they rejected the second one. Here's another thing about being set back. We haven't touched on the idea that packages don't advance for their first 3 weeks, because even if the queen comes out of her cage in 3 days and begins laying maybe a day or so after that, that's probably 4 days, 5 days with no eggs being laid. But then she starts laying eggs, and the eggs she lays, they're not going to grow up and become adult bees for another 21 days. So for that length of time, the population is falling. And then maybe 21 to 26 days after you installed it, they'll begin to grow. And that's a point as well for package people. It's like, I did just recently hear a study that said that the packages people installed at the same time as a nuke, they did catch up in population strength by the end of the summer. But nukes, they start out strong and they go strong, strong, strong. Packages, they start out slow and then they're strong after a bit. So there's that 3-week lag.
I understand what you're talking about. I think everyone else does too. If you open your package of bees 3 weeks later, you actually have fewer bees than you did when you shipped those bees in all those weeks ago, because the bees that died off have not been replaced.
Just natural death.
Yep, natural death, right. So that happens too.
And then they start to get replaced because the new eggs have grown up into new bees.
So as we've talked now for 2 segments, basically it's not always obvious how to release the queen, pull the screen back, punch the candy plug. Just take a technique. By some means, be sure you get her out. And at the same time, there's different ways to release packages. But the main thing is to get the bees out, ideally on the comb, if not on comb, on foundation. If they're going on foundation, I really hope you feed them because they're going to need all the help they can get. How would you summarize these last 2 segments we've did now, Anne?
I think that if the person is confused at all still, they should definitely try and meet up with someone from their club or get, additional help before they go jumping into picking up their package. They got to learn before they go. Usually, like you said, everything will be fine, but then there's those instances at this end or that end of the spectrum where things are not fine. Most of the time, they're fine. Everything's great.
That's a good way to end it. Most of the time, things are fine and everything is great. And I'm going to say bye.
This has been good, Jim. Thanks.
I had a nice time. I wanted to talk about this. I mentioned in the first segment I've got spring fever. So goodbye, Ann. Goodbye, listeners. Till next week.
Bye, everybody.